Next up is Eileen Smith, and Eileen is the project manager with the Hillstreet Family Resource Centre. Hillstreet Family Resource Centre is an intercultural centre for families and children based in Dublin's north east inner city. Hillstreet was awarded funding under the What Works Learning Together Fund to develop and implement the preparation for preschool programme aimed at organisations interested in delivering the programme. And I think I saw a lovely photo of some of your colleagues with the President of Ireland recently out at a lovely garden party paying tribute to all of your great work, Eileen. Really well done on that. But maybe just to step back, just tell us more about Hillstreet, what it is, how it came about.
Okay, thank you very much, Anya. Hillstreet Family Resource Centre is, as you said, it's an intercultural family resource centre because of where it's based in Dublin's northeast inner city. We're based in an area that has a high population of migrants. In total, in the northeast inner city, there are between 50 and 60% of migrants, but in our direct area, it's probably around 80% of ethnic minority families and individuals. It's an area with pockets of high deprivation, so there's also areas where there's plenty of money, but there are areas of high deprivation. Many of our families that come to Hillstreet would work in low-paid jobs, be paying high private rental costs, and would have very low disposable income. They're also first-time parents. So they come to Hillstreet without other family support. So they're not like me, who grew up with 6 brothers and sisters. They all live in Dublin. They all supported me when I had my children. They're very isolated and alone. And I suppose the first step in Hillstreet is the welcome. Our ethos is that we are an open door. We're a universal service, or universal. I actually don't like the word service because I think service means there's a recipient, whereas the way we work is in partnership. Yeah, thank you.
I think building on Kevin and Neve's themes, the beauty of this is the collaboration as well. You know, be it between your after-school clubs, your parent and child groups. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, we sometimes use that phrase of, you know, it takes a village, but I think that's really true of what you do in Hillstreet.
Yeah, I suppose there's a couple of words that have been mentioned. Integrated. Hillstreet works from an integrated approach. We link with all of the other organisations in the northeast inner city that work in our area. I suppose our work focuses on the parents having a voice from the moment they enter into Hillstreet. So our programmes are in direct response to their needs. We carry out, we're a community development organisation. We work from community development principles. Partnership is one of the highest, I suppose, or one of the ones that we focus a lot on. And it's in response to our parents' needs that we develop programmes, and the preparation for preschool is one of those programmes.
So tell us more about that, like who it is aimed at and what you're hoping this particular project. It's for 1 year and 9 months to 3 years. So yeah, talk a little bit about the why and what you hope it's going to be able to do in the community.
Okay, the programme is about 10 or 11 years old. It has evolved throughout the years. It was a programme that parents identified within the centre because they saw that when their children were starting preschool, they didn't have language skills because they spoke their mother tongue at home, but were going to preschool and didn't have language skills. They also had strong separation anxiety because they didn't have those social networks or weren't connected with other family members. So the programme started as a language support, and it was a once-a-week programme where parents and children come in September and it finishes in June, and they were coming for once a week. And we focused, the child and family workers focused on language development and slowly separating parents and children. And then the parents went home for an hour and a half, did generally cleaning or shopping, didn't really do anything mindful for themselves. So over the years, that has developed into a programme where parents then said that they wanted their own programme and also that they felt the children needed additional sessions. So it's now a twice-weekly programme that runs in Hillstreet. The parents and children start together, or caregivers and children, or grandparents and children start together. There's a slow separation between September and December. And come January, there's full separation. The children are in a room, like a preschool room. They are following the Astra curriculum. And the parents are downstairs with a development worker, and they are identifying their needs. And generally, I suppose the benefits of the programme, no, wait. So we did a piece of research because we saw the benefits and we felt that the programme should be rolled out nationally. So we did some research in collaboration with DCU, with Matthias Urban, who's the head of the early childhood research centre, and he had a very similar ethos to ours around diversity and inclusion and community involvement in children in early years education. And we developed the research, we got the evidence, because without evidence you can't get funding. So we have to have documented evidence. We had our own evidence, but we need to document evidence. The evidence, I suppose, showed the benefits for the children in that because we worked with preschool, that was another collaborative piece of action research with parents, with preschools, with the university and with the staff in Hillstreet. And the benefits for the children were very clear. They settled in quicker.
Great.
They were more confident. Their language skills, it's not that they had fluency in English, but they understood English, they understood routines and transitions. The benefits for the parents were life-changing for some. We have 3 parents on our board of management who came through the programme. One is the chairperson of Hillstreet. We have a parents forum that was initiated from past and current parents in the programme. We have 7 cultural ambassadors who've come from Hillstreet who are in the community. So not only are the benefits for the organisation, but the benefits are for the wider community.
You have ambassadors who come through it.
Yeah.
And presumably with all of the benefits you talk about there, the holistic self, the greater confidence, but the settling in longer, or quicker rather, I presume over time what you will see with these kids who came through that is that maybe their attendance rates are going to be high because they had that good start into the school system. Hopefully over time that's what you'll be able to see.
And I think as well, Anya, what we see is that parents are participating in schools. And I think it's another thing that was spoken about was parental involvement. I mean, there's a whole strategy around parental engagement. And one of the organisations that's currently rolling out, they keep saying this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We're engaging parents in early years education, first of all, but then those parents are going to go on. We have 7 parents who sit on the local school board association, and I believe it's because they found a voice.
They were invested early in it and taken seriously in their feedback heard. Given that it was a no-brainer, what about funding then? Is that hard? You know, we heard earlier from Niamh, in her case, funding came through. Is this something can be hard to get funding for? How did the What Works funding compared to maybe other routes that you've taken in the past?
I think, again, Hillstreet is a very small organisation. There are 7 staff in Hillstreet. We compete all the time against bigger organisations that have more resources in terms of developing funding strategies and funding plans. For us to get to where we are now, we've had 4 funders. The first ones were the Catherine Howard Foundation and the Community Integration Fund. That was for the piece of research. So then we had the evidence. Then we went to What Works, to the Learning Together Fund, and we got the funding to design an implementation manual. So basically we have a manual now on how to roll out the preparation for preschool and other organisations. The collaborative piece of that was that we mentored. The funding from What Works allowed us to mentor 2 other organisations in Hillstreet so that they could then go on to roll out, and they input into the manual. The manual is an online version because we see through the community development ethos, I suppose, our approach that everything has to be able to evolve. It can't be static. So that manual can change. And now we have funding through the RTE Toy Show Appeal to roll out the programme and to run a training programme on it. That's all really positive and really good, but each funding stream is for 1 year. Yeah. I think if I was a funder, I would have looked at our research, I would have seen it was a no-brainer, and I would have funded it to now so that we didn't have to spend the amount of time and resources that we have, the limited time and resources we have on seeking funding.